fishing with his golf clubs again. I told him about that.
A galaxy far, far away. I love it.
Yeah. Well, well, if you don't mind, I do want to be respectful of your time and get started, if that's
Sure.
okay. Sure. Um, so I'm Brett Augustine, a recovery business advisor for North Central Texas Small Business Development Center. We are a leading provider for assistance for small businesses, and we are grant funded, which allows us to offer seminars just like this one and webinars at no cost. Today, we're going to be joined by uh, Jamie Ellithorpe III.
Ellithorpe. Yeah. Yeah.
Jamie Ellithorpe III, who is actually going to be giving us the 5 steps for setting your business on fire. And before that, just a couple of housekeeping. If you would please leave your questions in the chat room. Just go ahead and chat in there. And at the end, after Jamie's finished, we'll take all the questions you have and we'll kind of reiterate them and try to get them answered for you while we have her online. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Miss Jamie Ellithorpe III.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you. I like to think I'm the first generation, so there's room for improvement, right? With the protocols that come after the original
Right.
edition. But welcome. In the chat box, please, if you will, let us know where you're dialing in from today. It's really interesting sometimes the conversations that can come up just based on where you're at. So let me take the ball here and let me share my screen. Okay, can everyone see the screen?
That's a yes.
All right. So today we're going to talk about the 5 steps to set your business on fire. Now, depending on how you take this, when I named this presentation, I was talking about getting your business up and running for just explosive growth. So we were joking a little bit before our presentation that maybe on some days we really do want to set our business on fire. But that's just part of the journey. So for today, we're going to talk about 5 things you can do to never want to actually set your business on fire and have it take off. So let's get going. So we're going to talk about implementing a powerful system to make sure your business is focusing on all of the critical elements that you need to attract more clients, increase your profits and sales, and set you up for the next stage of business growth if you so choose. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to teach you a 5-step process so you know where your business is already strong, and you'll also know some key areas that might need some more of your attention. So you'll be very clear about those 2 things after you leave today. Before we get started, I'm going to share a little bit about myself so you know who I am and how I help what I call heart-centered entrepreneurs attract more clients into their business. And I want you to stick around until the end of this presentation because we'll have plenty of time for question and answer. And we're also going to share a lot of free resources that are available to you outside of this presentation. So let's get started. So who am I, right? So I help heart-centered entrepreneurs and business professionals attract more clients so they can grow their business and get off what I call the cash flow roller coaster. So what does that mean? Well, one of the biggest challenges that I see with a lot of business owners is they are facing the challenge of having plenty of clients streaming into their business that actually convert to paying customers. So what I do is I teach them a 3-part system to draw in more clients and create more stable cash flow into their business. So the 3 parts to my system is I help clients create a marketing plan or a strategy so they know exactly what to do when they get up every day. They're not staring at the computer screen trying to figure out what to do. It's crystal clear. The second phase of what I help business owners with is I help them build a strong mindset. So if you have access to the recordings from some of the prior presentations, I actually went over that in depth a couple of weeks ago, so you might want to check that out. But basically, it's just about eliminating all that doubt, that fear, the worry, and I don't know about you, but sometimes overwhelm that comes across in our business that might stop you from meeting your goals. And the third thing that I teach entrepreneurs how to do is I teach them how to manifest. So that's kind of just a fancy word for using the power of intention in your business. So it's really all about focus and where you're focusing your attention, because simply stated, wherever you're focusing your attention, that's what you're going to end up as an end result in your business. So I blend those three things together because that's the fastest way that I've helped people get off the roller coaster and the confusion and get going on their goals and actually seeing them become a reality. So professionally, I have helped mom and pop businesses. I grew up in one, so I guess I've been in entrepreneurial world about my whole life. And I ended my professional career actually working for a Fortune 500 company that I believe is number 6 on that Fortune 500. So it's pretty big. So I've helped all kinds of businesses grow regardless of size and even industry for that matter. So I've been working with business owners in my own business about 4 years now. And a lot of people ask me how I got started doing this. Well, part of it was because I grew up in a small business and I saw the pain and the struggle that my parents went through. So I've always had a big heart for that. But I also have a background in journalism and communication. So I pair a lot of that experience with print and graphic design and television and radio and all those things in my background to help you grow your business as we're putting plans together. I also got really interested in the law of attraction, and that's that manifestation piece. So I actually am a certified law of attraction coach with the Quantum Success Coaching Academy. So if clients are interested in speeding up success, we talk about all that. I also have a couple of programs on mindset and marketing that are online for business owners, and I'm actually now becoming an author, and I'm in the book space. I had the opportunity to recently be a contributor to a book about creating your own legacy, and surprisingly enough, it hit international best-selling author status. So I'm really excited about that. And I also have the opportunity now to work with that publisher, and I'll be putting my own book together about mindset and all the levels of success that you can reach through growing your mindset. So that's me. Let me go through here. All right, so let's talk about you. What are the benefits of being here for this presentation? Well, we're going to talk about 5 key areas in your business that need to be strong and thriving so that you can attract more clients and actually grow your business. And we're also going to go through an exercise. So that's going to be the first part of our presentation today so that you can pinpoint the areas of your business that are strong, as well as maybe some areas that you might want to focus on in the coming weeks and months ahead. So I'm going to share as much as I can about this topic in the next hour or so, but of course it's impossible to go in complete depth with all of it. But I do want you to walk away with things that you can implement in your business as soon as we leave today's meeting. So I'll offer you the opportunity for some more resources available to you to continue to grow your business. So stick around. So before we get started, I just want to leave you with one last thought. My whole thought about businesses are we are here, all of us as business owners, we are here to help the world in a big way. I believe we're all here for a purpose. And one of the ways that we can live and strike out in our purpose is through our businesses. So you're not here by accident and you have a big mission in front of you. And so that's part of why we're here today, is to help you in that mission. So I want to ask you a question. So hopefully you have a piece of paper in front of you and something to write with. What area of your business is going well? I used this fun picture with this guy who's really feeling like a rock star in this moment, right? So think about one area of your business that you really feel is going well for you, that you're quite proud of. And I want you to jot that down. Just take a minute, just kind of think about one area and just jot that down. All right, now that you've got that, I want you to think about an area of your business that you'd like to improve. You know, maybe it's like that lady in this picture. It's kind of frustrating for you. Maybe it's overwhelming, or maybe you just really don't even know what to do in that area of your business. Write that down. And if any of you feel comfortable sharing in the chat box, I would love to hear what comes up for you. And I'm for some reason not seeing the chat box. So if you don't mind helping me out, Brett, I appreciate it. I think I lost it when I changed screens here.
All good. Yeah. I'll let you know as soon as somebody types something in here.
Awesome. Okay, so let's dig in a little bit deeper into this, shall we? So I'm going to ask you some questions. And what I want you to do is, as these questions pop up, on a scale of 0 to 10 for each of these questions, I want you to just write down the first number that strikes you after you see this question. So on our little assessment here, 0 is going to represent no or not at all. So you don't have any resonance with it whatsoever. And 10 is a yes, or you totally believe with all certainty that you have this covered in your business. So I want you to think of this as just kind of a little check-in or a little checkup with your business. And the reason that we're doing this now is this is going to make the rest of this presentation super relevant for you. So as we're going through the 5 steps, you're going to know exactly what you need to focus on in your business. So there's no right or wrong answers here. Remember that a business is a growing, living, breathing thing, and it's changing daily, weekly, monthly. So something that might not be working well for you now may turn around next week or next month, or maybe something that was working for you might show to be a little bit of a challenge for you in the coming weeks ahead. So just know that things will fluctuate. So really there's no right or wrong. I just wanted you to get a pulse for your business as it is right now. So we're going to go over this assessment together. We're going to go through the 5 steps in the presentation, and then you'll know what to do to focus. So Brett mentioned we'll have plenty of time at the end of the presentation to ask questions, but please don't hesitate as we go through these questions. If you have any confusion or anything that's coming up for you, please stop us and we'll explain. So let's dive in. So the first, sure.
No, I just want to know, did you want an actual comment that somebody made a moment ago?
Sure,
They were saying
absolutely. Yeah.
communication's going well. What needs improvement is social media and marketing.
Awesome.
Just to
Yep.
let you know a couple of them. In other words, a
Yeah.
personal
Yep.
reputation and somebody who needed more staff. So
Okay. Yep. All very common problems. So you're not alone. So you're not alone. Okay, so let's jump into question 1. So again, 0 to 10, 0, there's no problem. 10. Okay, so question 1, I have a crystal clear vision of where my business is headed. So on a scale of 0 to 10, just the first number that pops into your mind. I have a crystal clear vision of where my business is headed. Question 2, I have a written 1-year, 5-year, and 10-year strategy plan for the growth of my business. I have a written 1-year, 5-year, and 10-year strategy plan for the growth of my business. Question 3. I have a specific step-by-step plan for how to achieve all my business goals. I have a specific step-by-step plan for how to achieve all of my business goals. Question 4. I have a powerful support team that is filled with A players only, and that means employees and mentors. I have a powerful support team that is filled with A players only. So these are the best. These are your rock star support team. Question 5. When building my team, I look in advance for people who would be the perfect fit. When building my support team, I look in advance for the people who would be the perfect fit. Question 6. I'm aware of industry, economic, or technology trends, and we're poised to capitalize on them. I'm aware of industry, economic, or technology trends, and we're poised to capitalize on them. Question 7. I carve out time to work on my growth and development. So that could be books, programs, seminars, or anything else that you're doing. Like being here today. I carve out time to work on my growth and development, books, programs, seminars, and whatever else you're doing. Question 8. I have marketing strategies that work effectively. I have marketing strategies that work effectively. Question 9. I am clear on my ideal market and customer, and my messages effectively engages them. I am clear on my ideal market and customer, and my message effectively engages them. Question 10. I have a marketing plan and a schedule to systemize it. I have a marketing plan and a schedule to systemize it. Question 11. I have a systemized sales process that ensures me or my sales team are successful. I have a systemized sales process that ensures me or my sales team members are successful. Question 12. I have a system in place for rewarding myself or my team in ways that I or they love to be rewarded. I have a system in place for rewarding myself or my team in ways that I or they love to be supported. We're getting close to the end. Question 13. My mind is clear of doubts, fears, and other barriers preventing the growth of my business. My mind is clear of doubts, fears, and other barriers preventing the growth of my business. Question 14. I have tools to help me overcome fears, doubts, or limiting beliefs when these come up. I have tools to help me overcome fears, doubts, or limiting beliefs when these come up. Question 15. My working environment, so that can be your desk, your office, or just your overall operations, feels good to me. My working environment, like my desk, my office, and my overall operations, feels good to me. Question 16. I have an expert team in all areas of my business, and that includes marketing, sales, accounting, and legal. I have an expert team in all areas of my business, marketing, sales, accounting, legal. And the final question. On a scale of 0 to 10, I am happy in the direction my business is headed. On a scale of 0 to 10, I am happy in the direction that my business is headed. So before we move on, let's just check in for a minute. So what has come up for you? What did you find out about your business? So take a minute, if you will, and just put a little aha or maybe just a little epiphany that you just had and tell us what came up for you in the chat box.
One of them says they're still in the planning phase.
Okay.
Another person that I have here is basically 5 seems to be the medium for all of these answers.
All right, that's awesome. Well, I'm glad you're
Instead
here,
of a
right?
10.
That's all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here. All right, so let's jump in, shall we? Let's talk about these 5 steps to set your business on fire. All right, the first one. So step 1 is clarify your vision and direction. So what do I mean by that? So basically, this is the big picture for your business. What is it that you ultimately want your business to look like? So what is your goal? You know, where are you at now in your business versus where you'd ultimately like to be? Now, that could be a very big, ambiguous question for some of you at this point. So, when I sit down with clients, I usually try to get them to think about 12 months out. So, if you think about 12 months from today, so is today the 4th? Gosh, I'm losing track. So, June 4th, 2022. Where do
3rd.
you want to be? Is it the 3rd? Okay, well, you get an extra day, right? It's June 3rd or 4th, 2022. Where do you want to be? Think about that. Like, what does that day look like for you? And that's going to help you really get clear on your vision and your direction. So, the reason I bring this up and why it's so important is I have seen a lot of my clients and just business owners in general, they're just toiling away on that day-to-day stuff. You know, they've got their head down, they're just working really, really hard. And whatever they're doing day in and day out, they're really not clear if whether those actions are actually even producing the results, right? They've just, whether they've even set a vision for their business, maybe they've not even done that, but even if they have, they're so tied up in that day-to-day stuff, they have totally lost sight of the vision. So they could be working really hard and they might not even be getting anywhere. So this is what I feel a lot of people sense in their business. Like, do you feel like every day's Groundhog Day in your business? Whether you saw that movie, gosh, I don't know, back in the 90s or whatever, where every day was the same, right? He just kept waking up every day and it was like the same thing over and over. So that's part of what can happen when you don't have that vision and direction. And pretty soon you're frustrated, you're just exhausted, and you're kind of burnt out, really. So the way to get off this hamster wheel or this Groundhog Day is to plan out what you want to have happen in your business. So think about, again, that result. What is it that you ultimately want? For some of you, it might be a financial goal that maybe you've made X number of dollars between now and 12 months, or maybe you have a monthly financial goal that you would like to meet. Maybe it's a certain size of your business. So think about how big you'd like your company to get. How many customers and clients would you like to be serving? How many new customers and clients would you like coming in every month? And then think about expansion too. I know some of you are new or just getting started, but think about the opportunities that you've got in front of you to expand. Would you like to grow into multiple locations maybe? Or are there new products and services that maybe you'd like to create and develop over the next 12 months? Those are all things to get really clear on as you create this vision. So I'm just going to check my notes here to make sure I got everything. You know, and here's something else too, just to kind of bring up too, is as you create that vision, this will give you the opportunity to tweak things as well, because you'll also be able to see in that day-to-day interaction, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, but in that day-to-day interaction, you'll start to see whether what you're doing, is it really lining up to the vision. So I want you to take a minute and I want you to write down, what is that big result that you want in your business? Just think about that 12 months from now. That's a little bit out in the future, but not so far that it seems unattainable. Just think about you 12 months from now and write that down. And now we're going to tie what we just talked about for step 1 into that assessment that you just took. So step 1 is these 2 questions right here. So look at where you scored them on the assessment. And if you scored a 5 or less on those will be some areas that you're going to want to focus on in your business. All right, let's go to step 2, because we kind of started to talk about that a little bit. The second step is to strategize your actions. So after you've got that clear vision, the next thing you want to do is strategize your actions. So this is basically your action plan. This is what you're going to do to line out all the steps that you must take to get from where you are today to that end result. So the good news about that is once you've got your steps written down, this is your priority to-do list. This is where you can start to determine, well, I don't know, should I, go over here and do this? Or, this person just called with this opportunity for me. Is that a good idea? Once you've got your vision and you've got the action steps down, it's going to be really simple for you to start determining what is busy work for you and what you really should be doing. So taking action is really just one step at a time. So going back to that 12-month goal or achievement that we've been talking about, this is where you start to break your plan down into bite-sized chunks. So that 12-month plan is going to be your annual plan. And then once you've got that figured out, then you can start to look at each quarter of your calendar and start breaking down steps or projects into quarters. And then once you've done that, think about each month. What could you possibly accomplish within the next 30 days? And start doing that month over month and taking that quarterly plan and starting to kind of break that down into months. And then once you have that, then you can start looking at your weeks and you can start lining out. So let's talk about the 30-day action plan for you, because that's a little bit easier to conceptualize. Once you know what you'd like to accomplish 30 days from now, well, now you just take that and you break that down into fourths. So you can start planning out your weeks. And once you've got your calendar plugged in for those tasks or projects, now you know how much time you've got left for these other things that might pop up, like new opportunities, or maybe some new client walks in and they're going to take a lot of time. You can now start to figure out how can you manage all of that and still meet all your goals. So action plans keep you focused. That's part of why that's so important. So you're going to stop wasting time. You're going to stop being distracted. I don't know how many times I've heard people come to me and say they literally stare at their computer screen in the morning and they don't know what to do. Especially new business owners, right? Because you're used to being in a job where you've had a boss who's pretty much told you what to do. And now that you're the boss, you're the one driving the direction. So this is one way to really help you stay focused to make sure that you're moving in the right direction. So that's really important. So let's talk about you. What's an action step for your business? So think about all the things that you've got going on, or all the things maybe that you're thinking about implementing, or creating, take a moment and just write down one action step that you can take in your business right now to move it forward. And it doesn't matter how small it is. It might be a phone call that you've been meaning to make, but write that down. And once you're finished with that, here are the questions from the little assessment or check-in that we took earlier that relate to strategizing your actions. So these were questions 3 and 10 on the assessment. So if you scored 5 or less on these two questions, these are some things to think about looking at in your business. And just for clarity, I don't think I told you what numbers there was on number 1. So for the clarifying your vision and direction on step 1, those were questions 1 and 2 on the assessment, just if you needed to know that. I didn't say that. All right, let's move to step 3. Step 3 is all about upgrading your skills. So when I say that, I don't mean necessarily going out and getting more education or knowledge in your field, but if you feel that you need that, obviously you could do that. But what I'm talking about is perfecting your craft. So this is about what I call sharpening your iron, right? So you're in business, you're in a particular industry, you're doing something probably fairly specific. How can you sharpen your iron? So a lot of people that I talk with, they tell me that they feel like they need more knowledge or training, maybe in areas of their business that they don't feel confident in. So that could be part of it. So some of those skills might be marketing skills or networking skills or sales skills, maybe even some public speaking skills if they're out promoting their business. And some of it could even be, somebody mentioned the social media skills. So maybe it's just learning a bit more about what you'd like to do in your business and how to do that. So anything along those lines. I know a lot of people just really need systems in their business. So coming up with a sales process or a marketing campaign, things like that. So I want you to take a minute and think about what skills could you get help with? What are some skills that you could get help with? And think about this too. Maybe you've got a coach or a mentor with the Small Business Development Center. What are some skills that they could help you with? So for instance, in my business, a lot of times I work with people on their marketing. They're creating the messaging themselves, but a lot of times when we get together in our sessions, I'm helping them tweak their marketing a little bit, or maybe they're asking me for some ideas. So someone that you're working with right now to help you grow your business, what are some skills that they could help you with? And more specifically, is there a skill set that you think you might improve? Like you're pretty good at it, right? You feel like, yeah, I do a pretty good job of that, but how could you take it to the next level? Is there some skill set that maybe you could just really sharpen? Maybe this could become your expertise in your business if you just took it to the next level. So write those things down now. And once you're done with that, here are some of the questions. There's a few more questions here from the third step. So here is 2 of them. So these were questions 6 and 8 on the assessment. So if you marked those less than 5, go ahead and highlight those now. Those might be some areas that you might want to look at. And then these are questions 9 and 11 from the assessment. So go ahead and take a look at those. If you marked 5 or less, you might want to focus on that. And then there was one more question on step 3, and this was question 16 on the assessment. So this was the second to last question on the assessment. If you need some more expert advice in your business or someone to help you, and you scored less than 5 or less, I would look at that. All right, let's move to step 4. So step 4 is about optimizing your environment. So what I mean by that, there's a whole lot to this one. This is all about getting rid of any kind of negativity or anything negative that's impacting you right now in your business. And the reason that this is so important, this is kind of like that under the hood stuff. So I kind of talk about marketing being the strategy piece and the mindset is kind of the under the hood. Well, this is kind of the under the hood of these 5 steps. So this is the stuff that might not be super obvious on the outside, but once you take a look at it, this is the stuff that's creating some underlying friction in your business. And of course, one of the things that we want to do is eliminate any barriers that we have within reason that are all at all possible to eliminate. So there's several pieces of your environment. So you've got your physical environment. So that's like your desk and your office and the things around you. You've got your idea environment, and you've also got your people environment. So I want you to think for just a minute about what is negatively impacting you. So for instance, let's talk about the people for a minute. Think about the people that you're interacting with. Maybe you already have some staff, or maybe you've got some people around you who are influencing the growth of your business. This could even be your clients and customers, but just really think about them for a minute. Are they yay sayers? Are they excited about your business and what you're doing and they're there to support you? Or are they kind of like the naysayers? Are they the ones that every time you come up with a new idea or strategy, they're the first ones that want to shoot it down and say, oh, that'll never work? So that's a big impact on your business. So just kind of think about that. And the other thing that I want to bring up about people too is think about who you're hanging around with. You might be going to a lot of networking groups right now, or you might be part of some clubs or some organizations. And I want you to ask yourself, are you the best person in that room? And what I mean by that is, are you the most advanced business owner in that room? Do you know far more than the other people that are in that room? Because there's an old saying, especially in personal development, that you're as successful as the 5 people that you hang around. So think about that for just a minute. If you're the smartest person in the room, and we talked about sharpening our iron earlier, you want to be challenging yourself. You want to be working with people who can challenge your thinking and take your business to the next level. So just kind of something to consider as you're thinking about growing your business. So you really want to create an environment of success. And this is about your idea environment. So I want to ask you, are you watching Netflix all the time? Or maybe you're just kind of absent-mindedly watching TV? Or are you feeding your mindset with things that are going to grow you in your business? Are you reading books? Are you listening to audio programs? Are you going to personal development or training seminars? What are you feeding your brain? Are you feeding it junk, or are you feeding it good stuff that's going to move you forward? So that's really important when you think about success in your business. And then the physical aspect of your environment, which is probably the most obvious, that is your workspace. So do you come to work every day and you've got piles of papers on your desk and you're searching for things all the time and you can't find things? That will kind of get you out of flow with the environment that you ultimately want to be in for performance. So if you've got an environment that's cluttered in any way, whether it's physical or mental, think about where you can start to maybe clean some of that up. So I want you to take a minute and think about, how can you optimize your environment? So just jot down a couple of ideas. Again, they don't have to be big. They can be very simple things, but just anything that you think is hanging you up in your business. Where could you optimize your environment? Maybe it's putting a fun napkin on your desk, just like this one. That's why I love that slide, right? That's just like a little affirmation that I am the success story. Just anything that you can do to boost your environment. That's what we're looking for. And here are the questions from our assessment for step 4. So take a look at those. And these were questions 4 and 5 on the assessment. So if you scored 5 or less, these are some specific things that you might want to take a look at when it comes to your environment. And then the other questions pertaining to step 4, these were questions 12 and 15 on the assessment. So before we move into step 5, right, with the drum roll, are there any questions? Are there any questions that have come up in the group about anything that we've gone over so far?
No, at this time, there's only been a comment from one of the participants that said that they're constantly battling social media when it comes to, I think, the time that's being shared around. It's a constant battle with social media,
Sure.
but no actual questions at this time.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing. I know that that is a battle for a lot of people. All right. So this is the big one. And I've probably been leading up to it off and on throughout this presentation, is to master your mindset. And for me, this is really the under the hood stuff. That's the linchpin for success at any level. And in my personal opinion, this is what is going to make or break your business every single time. So that's why I wanted to put it in here as the 5th step to setting your business on fire. So is your mindset stopping you? So let's talk about this. So I see a lot of this happening when people feel like they've got a lot mentally going on. So you're busy, busy, busy doing the day-to-day tasks, but there's also that inside stuff that's going on. And a lot of times when we try to go do something new, our brain sets off the alarm. So two of the biggest ones on that are fear and overwhelm. Now, our brains are doing that because it's trying to stop us, it's trying to protect us. But if we're in states of overwhelm or fear, then we're really not taking the necessary actions that we need to be taking in order to get the results that we want, right? And that old saying of same results, or I mean, same action, same results, right? We've got to change what we're doing in order to change the result. And this is really where it starts. So I also see a lot of doubt with people starting a new business. There's a lot of self-confidence that might kind of come to the surface. I know I felt that way when I first started. I questioned my self-confidence so much because it was just really hard to put myself out there, right? And get in front of people and talk about things. So those are just a lot of the things that I see. I'm just looking at my notes here. Another thing too is a lot of people feel like they're not good enough, like they don't know enough, or they don't have enough knowledge to help people in their business. I see a lot of that come up, or maybe just even deserving success, right? Think about that for a minute. Do you feel like you don't really deserve the success that you want in your business? So those are all things that can come up and really hinder your progress, because it kind of feels like when you've got this mindset stuff going on, like you've got one foot on the accelerator, but you've also got one foot on the brake. And that mindset stuff is the brake. So once you can release the brake a little bit, then your business just really starts to take off. So that's what I'm talking about. So, like with this guy, when you've got limited thinking, so I won't go too deep into this, but there's something in the coaching world called limiting beliefs. And so basically think of those beliefs as they counter intend what it is that you want. So one example is, let's say that you want to make $10,000 a month in your business, but you don't feel like you deserve it. You don't feel like you deserve to make $10,000 a month in your business. Can you see where that's a really big problem when you start to put an action plan in place with all of those physical in the world things that you would do, those action steps that you would take to get your business to $10,000, but in the back of your mind, you subconsciously don't think you deserve it. that's going to stop you from getting this real world result. So that's what I'm talking about with limited thinking, is it's going to stunt your results. So if with that $10,000 example, maybe you think you deserve to make $3,000 a month, where you're going to start to see in your business that no matter how hard you work or how hard you push or whatever you change, even in the action steps that you're taking, your mind is going to limit you at that point. So you'll just stay at that set point and never be able to move on. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about limited thinking. And really, this is an ongoing process. Um, so here's what I think. I think you'll never waste time working on your mindset. I don't think that there is a minute that I personally regret that I have spent overcoming my own fears, doubts, worries, deservingness, that looking back, that was probably the biggest thing for me that has personally changed my business and my success. And that's why I'm so passionate about talking about it with other business owners. So the more time you can spend working on your mind, the faster your business is going to go. I know that might sound a little counterintuitive, but it's seriously true. Just removing one block or one limited thought can change the dynamics of everything. I've seen it in my clients and I've seen it with myself. It's pretty profound. So I want you to think for a minute, how could you improve your mindset? What is slowing you down, stopping you, or maybe even standing in your way from reaching your business goals? So think about that for just a second. Like, what's that one thing, if you had to be really honest with yourself? And even if it sounds crazy, write it down. Most of this stuff is really illogical. Even when you write it down, you're just like, wow, I can't even believe that I had that thought. So if you have some of those, please write it down. That's the stuff we're looking for. All right, and moving on to the assessment. These are the questions that were on the assessment pertaining to your mindset. So these two questions I'm showing you right now, these were questions 7 and 13 on the assessment. So if you scored 5 or less, it might be worth looking at these. And then there's 2 more from step 5, and these were questions 14 and 17 on the assessment. So if you scored 5 or less on these 2 questions, it is worth your time to take a look. So before we move on, do we have any questions or comments in the chat?
No, but I think fear is probably the big one from the last one, the big block that
Sure.
just all entrepreneurs that I've talked with so far have.
Mhm. Yep. So if everyone wants to stay for just a couple of minutes after we're done with the presentation, we could actually work on some of that, only if you want to. Well, let's do a recap of the 5 steps to set your business on fire. And by this time, I hope you really don't want to set your business on fire. You want it to get a blazing so you can take off and achieve the goals and dreams that you have for your business. So let's talk about some tips for actually implementing these 5 steps, right? So the first one was clarify your vision and direction. So we talked about the big picture of your business and how you'd like it to look and exactly how you want. So what we want to do here is you can never spend enough time clarifying what you want in your business and taking the time to write things down. That's the second part of this, is it's so important to write things down. So many people think, oh, I have my business plan in my head. Well, let me tell you, that's not going to help you in the long run. It's a matter of writing things down. And there's also just, this kind of helps your brain too. This is just kind of talking about brain training. When you write things down, you're commanding your brain, so to speak, to make it happen. There's just a magic that is about writing it down. The second one, for strategize your actions. So this was step 2. So when you're clear about that vision and the goals that you want to attain, this is where it starts to get easier to figure out what you're supposed to do every day. And this is just going to help those daily decisions about where you should focus your time. Because if it's not lining up to where you ultimately want to go, that's the stuff that you start taking off your plate. And if you still feel like that stuff needs to be done, this is where the delegation comes in. Who else can help you do some of this other stuff? If it's things that other people could technically do, that's the stuff you want to take off your plate, because you want to be focused on strategizing these actions and making sure that everything's lining up for you. So for the third one, upgrading your skills, I would decide what you're pretty good at and improve those skills. So if it's not in your wheelhouse, if it's something that you're really not good at, I would highly consider hiring it out. And I know that's really difficult when you're first starting a business, but I don't think it's worth your time to try to hone your skills on something that's really not in your wheelhouse anyway. So I had written down here, like, don't be a zebra that's trying to change your stripes to become a leopard, right? It's just not worth your time. You're not going to enjoy it, and it's just going to be really hard and arduous for you to do that. So think about where you can get better, not try to do something that really never was yours anyway. And then for step 4, optimizing your environment, I would just pick one area that you can easily change. This step can get really overwhelming if you try to do it all at once. So just think about one little thing that you can change and just go step by step. And something else, don't try to change other people, right? Like, do not try to take that task on of trying to change somebody else, because it's not going to be good for you, and it's not really in your power. So choose something that you can control, like your desk. If it's messy, clean it up, or your mindset. If your mindset's messy, clean that up. You've got control over that. No one else has control over your mindset except for you. And this is the big one, the 5th one. So one of the fastest things that you can do to change your mindset is to question everything. And I mean everything that you're allowing your mind to be fed every day, whether it's a fact, whether it's an opinion, whether it's advice from an expert. Question everything. And how you do that is you take in that information and internalize it. Just throughout the day, just all the information you're getting, just internalize that and ask yourself, is that true? Is that true? Just, in your mind will give you an answer if that's true. And then ask yourself, do you resonate with that? Like, do you resonate with that piece of information? Because if you don't, then that's probably your subconscious mind telling you, hey, it's worth taking a second look at this, right? Don't just take it for what it is. Let's really think about this for a minute. And then ask yourself, are you thinking about things objectively and correctly, or are you letting your emotions take charge and control? Like, if you can step back from your emotions and just look at things objectively, that's going to help you decide whether this information is the best for you. And once you open yourself up to these possibilities, this is where the stuff that you never thought about is going to start coming into your world. This is where opportunities are going to be knocking, or ideas that you've never thought of before are going to start coming to you. And there again, that's only going to speed up the process of getting to your goals and growing your business. So with that being said, I want to thank you for your time today, right? We're busy business owners, and we appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us today. And if you'd like, I know we did a little bit of assessing today in this presentation, but I do have another little free assessment for you. If you want to write down that bit.ly link, that'll take you directly over to this other little assessment if you'd like to dig a little bit deeper. So I'll give you just a second if you want to write that down. This will take you about 10 minutes. And this is also just a great little tool for you too, that if you are working with a mentor with a small business development center, this is something that you could share with him or her and say, I kind of saw this come up in my business. This might be something that I want to take a deeper look at. So just another tool for you, free from me. And if you have any questions about anything, I am locally in DFW. There's my website and my phone number if you want to jot that down really quick. And finally, here are all of the contact information for the Small Business Development Center. So I want to share with you, this is a place where you don't know what you don't know is available to you. They have so many resources that you may not even know about. So please continue to check in, see what's available to you. There's all kinds of webinars like this one going on this summer with some fantastic presenters who have a wealth of knowledge, as well as a lot of other resources that are available. So I'm going to hand it off to Brett, and thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Actually, you just did the best commercial ever for us, but the truth
Oh,
is,
good.
we really appreciate you and your time today and making sure that everybody's got that right, not just the mindset, which seems to be a very central part of it. Uh, if anybody has any questions, please go ahead and throw them in right now. There's a lot of people saying thank you, by the way. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Helpful information, helpful session. But if you have an actual question, I'll take those as I get wrapping some up. I did want to make a comment about your zebra turning into the cheetah idea. I know that it's a very difficult thing for business owners that I speak with, and I am one as well. So it's one of those things where sometimes we forget that we're good at being a zebra, and but yet we still need to do the whole herd, if you will. We have to still have all the animals and all the bases covered. What do you recommend to people that are having challenges, like if they're really good with people in sales and getting their company out there promoted, but yet there's other tasks in the operations that maybe they aren't as good at or skilled at?
Mhm.
And you mentioned some things to really put it on fire. Would you recommend them working on their own personal training for those areas, or hiring people to do that if they can afford it, of course? I heard you say both of those, so I'm just
Yeah.
curious.
So I guess it depends on the situation, but one of the things that I'm doing in my business, and one of the things that I like to teach business owners, is systems and automation. So we are in the world of technology right now, and so why not take advantage of it? So there's a lot of manual things that you can systemize in your business. So I'll just use a couple that are coming to mind for me. So I systemize and automate a lot of my marketing. So, for instance, I have a Facebook group and I batch a month's worth of content for that group. As a matter of fact, that's on my to-do list, like for tomorrow. So, I will sit for, it might take me 3 or 4 hours to do that, but I've got it lined out to where I know exactly how many posts I need to create. So I post in my group 3 times a week. So that's 12 posts. So I know when I sit down to create that content, I know I've got to create 12 posts, and I have it lined out exactly the messaging for each of those posts because, well, this would probably be a whole nother presentation, but when you get into your messaging, I suggest everyone have 3 to 4 pillars that they talk about in their business. So these are like recurring messages that are over and over again. So for me, it's marketing, mindset, and manifesting. Those are like my 3 pillars. So I know that those are the 3 things that I've got to hit every month when I'm making that content. So I've got it lined out exactly under those 3 pillars, like what are the subtopics that I want to create. So when I go to sit down, I just look at that list and I'm like, okay, post 1 needs to be about mindset, and it needs to be like a picture post with da 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 da. I just know that. So it's very easy for me to just get it done, get it set up in the scheduler for Facebook, and boom, it's done. I'm off doing every other thing I need to do in my business for the next 30 days, and then there again.
That's
So
a great example.
that helps a lot. If that's something that's in your wheelhouse. And then if it's out of your wheelhouse, I think it's about getting creative. Like if you're ready to expand and you don't have a budget, um, like another idea was I got invited to, with one of the local high schools here in the Metroplex. They actually have students who are looking for summer internships, paid and unpaid. So there's opportunities to put job postings together and find people to maybe help you with some of that admin work that might be taking a lot of time on your plate, or virtual assistants sometimes can be cheaper than hiring someone. So it just kind of depends, I guess, on the business
Those are
owner and what
all
they're looking for.
Those are all great ideas. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for sharing that
Sure.
with us. We don't have any questions that have popped up, and just more thank yous and things at the moment. You've obviously covered a lot of ground today for everybody. If you don't mind, I'd like to just share my screen real quick about some upcoming events as well. You mentioned them for us. And I just want to say thank you. Right after this session, don't forget that you will be getting a survey to fill out. And if you do that, we'll be happy to put you in touch with anybody else in the information here for Jamie. If you forgot her number, though she had it on her slide there, we're happy to give that to you so you can reach out to her on our website. And as well, the upcoming webinars that we do have coming up, the Paycheck Protection Program latest updates with Rebecca Schultz is coming up on June 8th. On the 9th, we have employee handbooks and updates on COVID-19. And June 10th, how to get clients begging for more, back with Jamie. And we have how to add video to your marketing mix with Marcia Hudson. And of course, following up with that, Ms. Lorna Kibbe will be doing Professionalism Defined. What does it mean and why you must care? These are some of the upcoming events, and they're always changing. Please check our website for more information. And don't forget to register for those webinars, and they'll come right into your email box so that you don't forget and say, oh, you're about to start, and it'll give you a click straight into it. So if you need any more contact information or to schedule an appointment with an advisor, please feel free to do so on our website. It has all the information for the SBDC, as well as resources for small business owners that you might not consider before. We're like a library for you. So please feel free to reach out to us. We are funded, and we do want to thank a few of our sponsors, Small Business Administration being at the top of the list, the state of Texas, of course, North Texas SBDC Regional Office, and North Central Texas College. We thank each and every one of you for joining us today, especially you, Mel, who came all the way from Utah. Please tell your friends about these webinars. We'll be happy to hook everybody up with more information and education along the way. Thank you all for coming, and we look forward to seeing you next time. This will conclude our webinar for today. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Bye. Have a good day, everyone.
Bye.